And welcome to the Leadership Experience Tour, October 2024 edition. Welcome to Detroit, Michigan, and to the OnStage Plus TV network room. I have the pleasure of interviewing the amazing speakers here at the tour, and I have a speaker here that will talk to us today about severing the ties. Hello and welcome, and share with the audience. Tell us who you are, and then tell us what you're excited about as it relates to your book.
Well, thank you for having me. I am Kimberly Nelms. I'm the CEO of ATK Innovations. I'm an author. I am a podcast host. I am a coach, and I am a speaker.
Speaker, coach, podcast host. So you are getting your word out in a number of ways.
Yes.
Wonderful, fantastic. And I understand that you empower people to discover their purpose.
Yes. A lot of times what's holding us back is trauma that we haven't recognized or either haven't dealt with. So I believe that if we can deal with that trauma and deal with it, in a way where we're healthier, we can go forward into our purpose.
So under-recognized or unrecognized.
Yes.
And do you find that sometimes people may know it's there, the trauma, but make decisions to just put it in the back closet?
Sometimes we suppress things, but it's going to come back up eventually in some area, way or form in your life. And so that's why you have to deal with it. You can't just, suppress it or like try to forget about it, because it's going to affect other areas. So if you do that, you're not going to be able to be successful. You're not going to be able to be effective in anything that you're doing, because it's like a roadblock. You can't get by a roadblock. You have to either move it or go through it.
So when the trauma is suppressed, is it something like, remember that tour, the Jack in the Box, where you wind it and you didn't know when it would pop up?
Yes.
And even though you
it's
anticipated
awesome.
it will come up, and you would always go, oh, it's there. So is this suppressed trauma like that? You don't know when it'll come up, but boom.
That is a perfect illustration. I love it. Absolutely. And I've also found times that the body has ways of forgetting things that we're not even doing it intentionally, but that even still comes up, and you're like, oh my God, like I even forgot that happened.
Yeah.
You'll see something that'll trigger you, and then you're like, oh my gosh, then it's there. So you may do it intentionally or unintentionally, but either way, it's still not healthy.
It's still not healthy. No. So tell us about the ties. I'm sure there are a number of ties that hold people down, weigh people down, like you say, trip them up. Is there one particular type of tie that you see over and over again?
I think childhood trauma is probably the biggest one. We all grew up different ways of life. Unfortunately, some people were molested or, raised by, alcoholic mothers or, drug addicted parents. And, those are diseases. But as children, you don't know why your parents are doing these things, why these things are happening to you, why me. But even though it's not your fault, you're still being affected by it. So there's so many things that affects children that people don't even realize, and then they grow up, and then their adult life is a mess because of childhood trauma. So I think that is the most prevalent one, I think, in my opinion.
So childhood trauma.
Yes.
Is there an expiration date, a shelf life on addressing and getting healing from your trauma?
Absolutely not. And some people don't deal with it until they're an adult, because they don't even know why they're acting. They maybe were, exhibiting behaviors in their teenage years and acting out or, doing reckless stuff. And when you maybe go to therapy, which is what we should all do, even if you have trauma or not, because even sometimes life, throws hard blows. You could lose a job. You could have a violent relationship. Those things are traumatic, and people don't look at them as trauma, but they are. It doesn't have to be a large scale trauma. It can be something small. It can be something very small. Right. And then you're triggered and you're like, why do I react like this when this happens? It's because of a trauma that you experienced.
Because of a trauma.
Exactly.
What's one indicator, a possible indicator, that an individual is living with an unresolved trauma?
I think anger is a huge indicator. The way you respond to things. If you respond and you just go to 10 immediately for any little thing, I feel like there's trauma that you haven't dealt with.
Trauma. So that's a good way for us to think about as we're processing emotions, looking at
Yes.
how we regulate our emotions. If anger is there, if
Yes.
it's always like you go from 0 to 10,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
quickly to
Yes.
pause, self-reflection, and think about
Yes.
that anger.
That's good.
That is really good. Well, thank you,
Yes.
because sometimes I believe many people don't associate anger as a potential indicator of
Exactly.
a trauma that hasn't healed.
That is so true.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Well, tell us how we can find out about your book
Okay.
and understand more about how to sever the ties. And I see you have a chain, so it's not just a
Yes.
string, but a
Ooh,
chain.
it's like breaking the chain. You know,
Yes.
you're breaking free. You're able to
Yes.
be free. So I am on Facebook, Kimberly Nelms, Instagram, all things Kimberly, no .org. My website is www.allthingskimberly.org, and you can catch me at the Leadership Experience Tour. Check out my speech.
Yeah, so your speech is going to be phenomenal.
Hope so.
Empowering people to break the chains and sever those ties. We definitely need messages like this in the world,
Yeah.
so that people can live free, live clear, and live according to their purpose.
Come on.
Yes, we thank you so much for sharing your message, for sharing your gifts with the world, so people can live empowered and purpose-driven lives.
Yes, I love it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
fun at the tour.
Okay.